What's up everyone, it's Lethal, and in today's video we're going to talk about aim, specifically how to get better aim in Fortnite. Now I know right now at the time of filming this we're in the Fortnite OG season, but whatever season comes directly after this, I want some of this advice to carry over, so I'm going to tailor this advice to be a little bit more general and not weapon specific. So if you're enjoying the video so far, if you enjoy my content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Getting right into it. So one of the game mechanics that is a little bit unique to Fortnite is weapon bloom. When you're shooting an AR, such as like a regular AR, the heavy AR, even SMGs, anything that doesn't have a scope, you're going to have bloom. And for the weapons that you can shoot at a slower fire rate, you can control this bloom by tap firing. So tip number one, obviously tap fire your weapon, but not only tap fire, but if you look very closely, there is a tiny dot in the middle of your crosshairs. And if you make sure that that dot remains on your target at all times, you can actually hit a lot of your shots even when your crosshairs are expanded or you're having a lot of bloom. Most of the shots, statistically, I think the number is anywhere from like 60 to 70% of the shots actually hit really close to the middle. Sometimes you might be a tiny bit off your target and you still hit a bullet or two, but in order to hit your shots, make sure the dot's on your target. You're not gonna hit everything. I really missed scoped ARs and I missed the MK and I missed the red eye. And for that reason, I use a lot of weapons that have scopes because they hit. Even if they're projectile weapons like the DMR, like it's nice to have a scope to know exactly where your bullets are gonna hit. And otherwise, other than that, I wanna talk about the weapons that you're going to be using most of the time in Fortnite. It does depend on what mode you play, but generally in any fight, it's gonna start off medium to long range with ARs, DMRs, snipers, and then you're going to gradually get into closer range like shotguns and SMGs, and and you can use ARs at close range too. But what's going to help you in most of your fights is, yes, get good at aiming with an AR, but get even better with aiming with weapons like shotgun, SMG, because when you're in close range, you're not going to be missing nearly as often as you would with ARs because of bloom. If your entire crosshair is on someone's body, there's a good chance that a lot of the bullets are going to hit, especially a lot more than when you're shooting someone at long range. So one thing I like to do to increase my accuracy at close range is actually to practice in creative on an aim training map. There are a lot of options such as, rapid realistics and zero build. But if you just want pure aim and you don't want to waste time, losing fights to people who are really good, then what you can do is practice in creative on maps like Raider 464's aim course or Scavic's aim course. There are plenty of other courses. The search feature in creative isn't that bad. It used to be really bad and you couldn't find anything, but there's some specific categories like practice or aim training and things like that you can click on to get to specific maps that people actually use or that are popular. So the next thing I want to talk about is positioning. If you're playing Fortnite, obviously everything isn't 100% flat ground. You have high ground, low ground, you have cover that's temporary like boxes or crates or barrels or trees that can take damage and be removed out of the way in the middle of the fight so that you can no longer use that cover anymore. So yes, you need to make sure that you're standing behind cover whenever you're shooting at someone. Using a right-hand peek. So using cover and using a right-hand peek are two tips that go hand in hand. You don't want to be standing behind cover and then move to the left side of cover, because this is going to give you the worst field of view and your enemy is going to be able to see more of your body than you're going to be able to see of theirs, therefore giving them the advantage and maybe even giving them the win in that fight or that specific scenario. So what you're going to need to do is, when you're standing behind cover, make sure that you peek to the right side of cover, not the left. Peek on the right, not the left. Reason being is it's going to give you the best field of view where you can hit your shots and still move behind cover. And when you're standing behind cover with the open space to the right, you can actually see enemies that are pushing towards you. Whereas if you're looking on the left side of cover, if someone's pushing you, you're probably not going to see it in time, and they could jump around the corner and surprise you. So whenever you're in buildings in close range, going through doorways and going up staircases and peeking through windows, just make sure that you don't expose yourself by peeking on the left side of cover, giving your enemies the right-hand peek. Moving on. Another thing that's going to determine whether or not you win fights is using the weapons that are actually good. And what I mean is not the weapons that you prefer to use in the game. You know, just because you're doing damage to someone doesn't mean that you're doing a lot of damage. So a lot of people mistakenly like using SMGs because they can hit some damage, they can see the numbers, but it may be like 10, 9, 13, you know, and they're not really doing a lot of damage. They feel like they're doing good, but they're not. You don't want to be in this situation. You actually want to pay attention to the overall damage you're doing with weapons and kind of hone in on the weapons that you're good with. If you're good with ARs, if you're good with snipers, if you do a lot of damage with, you know, like the hand cannon and shotguns in close range. If you like SMGs, make sure it's for the right reason. Don't just pick up an SMG because you can hit bullets. I've been in plenty of games where I'm in a fight with an enemy team that's really far away and my teammate has an SMG and they're like calling out 13, 13, you know, it's not helping. Use an AR, don't just carry shotguns and SMGs, like actually carry distance weapons. A good combo loadout is shotgun AR sniper, shotgun SMG AR, but make sure that in most cases you carry at least an AR and a shotgun. You're good in close range and you're good at medium to long range. Don't set yourself up for failure by only using shotguns and SMGs. I know that you might like the fast fire rate, but maybe it's not helping you and you just need to make sure that you have the best weapon loadout for most situations. Not every situation, but most. Now we're gonna briefly talk about mobility in this game. Currently, you know, the mobility items are the grappler and basically 2 grapple weapons. I can't think off the top of my head what exactly they're called. Like I know they don't have the same exact name, but you want to use mobility. You want to use shockwave grenades, you want to use grapplers, glider, redeploy, anything that you can, even vehicles as often as possible, so that one, you're not running around the map, having a boring game, not really having any fights, and then all of a sudden being surprised by enemies and you didn't fight the whole game, so you're not really prepared and your aim's not good, you're not warmed up. What you want to do is make sure you get a vehicle, get mobility. When you see shooting on the map, you can push immediately towards that, you know, third-party fights. Just stay warmed up and stay hot the entire game so that you can actually win. When you get into a fight, you're not, you know, making bad decisions or you're not nervous or anything like that. Last but not least, I know this doesn't really have much to do with aiming, but if you're playing in zero builds, it's okay if you get shot or tagged here and there, but once you get tagged, try to give it a little bit of time until your overshield comes back. That way you're not losing any of your shield, heals being one of the rarer items in the game that is, even though they buffed the spawn rate of heals, it's not really easy to find. You can't just find heals when you want to. Sometimes you just don't have any heals. So what you're gonna need to do is kind of preserve your heals by using that overshield. Try to hide for like 7 or 10 seconds. That way your overshield can come back and you're not losing any of your health that you have to work really hard to replace, especially white health. If you're in a fight and you are taking more damage than you're dealing to the enemy, that's a good indication that you might want to leave. Hence why mobility is really the best option. You don't have to carry 2 or 3 mobility items, you know. 1 is fine and you got to use it sparingly. Use it in the case of an emergency, like the rift to goes. Use it to get out of a situation, you know, and use it to get yourself into a situation. Use it to reposition, to get high ground, you know, to get angles on your enemy, lines of sight that you can abuse and do damage to them when they can't really see you that well. So that's gonna be it for this video. In the future, I will break down my settings as far as like best settings for controller aim, mouse and keyboard binds and things like that. If you're not using my supported creator code in the Fortnite item shop, consider using code lethal_air next time you buy something. I hope you guys have a great one and we'll see you next time.